Welcome everyone. If you've watched my previous video on requirement analysis, you already know how crucial it is to gather and document what a solution should achieve. Today, I'm going to be diving deeper into that topic by exploring the different types of requirements. I'm going to be keeping it very simple for you, relatable, and also I'm going to be walking you through some examples that you can use in real world projects. So let's get into the agenda of today. Today, I'm going to be covering the requirements, definition, and why it really matters. Then I'll break them down into different categories to make them easier for you to understand. I will also be exploring each type of requirement: business requirement, stakeholder requirement, solution requirement, transition requirement, product requirement, customer requirement, with simple examples to help them to stick. I'm also going to be touching on how to actually gather these requirements in the real world projects. Finally, I will do a quick recap of what we covered with some actionable next steps that you can begin to apply the knowledge right away. So whether you're new to business analysis or you're just brushing up, this agenda will help you walk through the essentials step by step. So let's start by defining what requirements are. Think of requirement as the blueprint of a solution. So just like a house needs a clear plan for it to be built properly, systems and products need clear guidance to meet users and business needs. Requirement helps to tell the development team what the solution must achieve from both the business perspective and the user perspective. Let's dive into an example of a requirement just to make it clear. The system must allow users to schedule appointments online and receive confirmation email. So in this example, we're first defining the user as anyone who wants to book an appointment. Then the action is selecting a date and time. Then the expected result is that the user gets a confirmation email. This simple statement actually carries a lot of details when you begin to unpack it. And that's what I'm going to be doing throughout this presentation, unpacking and breaking it down for you, turning real world needs into clearly defined requirements. Now, let's break the requirements down into their different categories. Requirements are grouped based on their role in projects. Think of them as building blocks. Business requirement is a type of requirement that helps to set the vision, what the organization wants to achieve, while stakeholder requirements drills down into what each team member or department needs to contribute to that vision. Then the solution requirements, which includes both functional requirements, which is what the system must do, and then non-functional requirement is how the system behaves, like performance or security. Then the transition requirements are all about change, which helps the organization to move from one old way of doing things smoothly to a newer way of doing things. So understanding how all these categories work together will help to ensure that you're covering all your bases in your analysis, and also it's going to be helping you to avoid gaps in delivery later on in the project. So let's take a deeper dive into each of the requirements and with examples as well. So the first requirement when we're talking about is business requirements. Business requirements are the why behind the project. Business requirement helps to focus on the value or the benefit the organization is hoping to gain. They are not concerned with the how something will be implemented, but they are rather what needs to change or improve at a strategic level. An example is if a business wants to boost online sales, that's a business requirement. It sets the direction for the entire project. Everything else, the features, functionality, and the stakeholder input should always trace back to this business goal. And as a business analyst, it is your job to make sure that These high-level needs are clearly understood and reflected in every aspect of the project. The next requirement we're going to be taking a look at is stakeholder requirement, which serves as a bridge. It helps to bridge the gap between the business goal and the technical details. So let's think of them as the personalized needs of individuals or groups involved in or are affected by the project. Each stakeholder, whether it's a manager, a customer, support team, or regulator, has different goals and constraints. For example, if the marketing manager needs to get some specific insights from the system that helps him make data-driven decisions, if those needs are not captured correctly, the solution might work technically, but it will fail to deliver value. So as a business analyst, it is your role to engage stakeholders early, ask the right questions, and translate their needs into clear and actionable input for the project team. So the next requirement we're going to be looking at is functional requirements are the technical backbone of any project. They represent what the system must do and how it should perform. Functional requirement is a type of solution requirement. It focuses on actions, things like logging into a system, submitting a form in a system or a website, or generating reports. They describe interactions between users and the system. Non-functional is another type. On the other hand, it's about the experience, how fast it should be. Is it secure? Can users with disabilities navigate it easily? These don't describe actions, but they define how well the system supports those actions. So for instance, it is one thing to allow password research on a website. That is a functional requirement, but then making sure that the feature works on a mobile phone in under 3 seconds is a non-functional requirement. So together, these requirements ensure that the solution is not only usable, but is also effective and is efficient as well. Transition requirements are like moving trucks. They are not needed forever, but they help you get from old to new smoothly. Transition requirements are often overlooked but are absolutely critical during implementation. Think of things like migrating data, training users on a new system, setting up temporary integration, or providing dual support for a legacy and new platforms during the transition. They ensure that the organization is ready for the change that is coming and that the shift is smooth and well coordinated. Without this, even the best solution can struggle to launch effectively. Product requirement describes the specific capabilities the product must have in order to fulfill user and business needs. Think of these as the foundation for building features. For example, if you're building a mobile banking app, a product requirement might be that the user can check their account balance and transfer money. These requirements provide the structure for functional and non-functional details. We've already looked at that previously, and they are often captured in product roadmaps or features list. With product requirements understood, let's now shift the gear to the people who matters, which are the customers that are going to be using the product. Customer requirements focus on what your customers actually want from the solution. While product requirements are about what the product must do, customer requirements are centered around the experience of using the product. They are usually gathered through surveys, usability testing, customer feedback, or direct interaction. So for example, users might expect instant confirmation or a very clean and intuitive interface. Meeting these expectations isn't just about functionality. It is about creating an experience that builds trust and loyalty with your customers. So now that we have covered both the product and customer angles, let's go over some helpful techniques to gather these different types of requirements effectively to help you on your business analyst journey. Let's break down what we have learned so far. First, we explored the core categories of requirements: business requirements, stakeholder requirements, solution requirements, transition requirements. We said business requirements helps us to understand the why of the project, while stakeholder requirements reveals the unique needs of individuals and departments. Then solution requirements is both functional and non-functional requirements, which focuses on how the system behaves and what it should do. And then we talked about transition requirements that helps support us from during the move from one old system to a new one. And then we also added two important perspectives, which is product requirement, which describes what the product must deliver, and then customer requirement, which captures what the end users truly are expecting and the value they're expecting from a product. Then we looked at tips for eliciting this requirement using interviews, reviewing existing systems, and running workshops, just to name a few. So as next step, try applying these techniques in your daily work. Look at your current project and then try to identify the requirement types. And if you're new, use the business analyst body of knowledge or similar resources to help to deepen your knowledge and understanding about business analysis. We have covered a lot today. Great job sticking with me. You now understand the major categories of requirements and how to spot and elicit each one. From business goals to customer expectations, and from functional specs to transition strategies, you've got a well-rounded toolkit. Use these insights to strengthen your analysis work and start applying them in your projects. The more you observe and document, the more confident and effective you will become as a business analyst. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more beginner-friendly content just like this. If you haven't watched my previous video on requirement analysis, that's a great follow-up. I'll also love to hear from you. Drop a comment with your questions or let me know how you are using this concept in your own journey as a business analyst. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.